Have you ever pondered upon the concept of God's eternity? What does it mean when we say God is eternal? Let's unravel this thought together. The eternity of God, or his existence from everlasting to everlasting, is devoid of the usual markers of time that we're familiar with: moments, minutes, hours, days, months, and years. These measurements of time came into existence after God. As we're told in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 13, "Before the day was, I am he." This means before the concept of a day was even born, before the first day of creation, and before the cycle of days and nights took shape, God existed. If God's past, if we may call it that, was without succession, without the ticking of moments or the change of days, then why wouldn't his existence through time and into eternity be the same? Now you might be thinking, but aren't days and years often associated with God? Yes, they are. But this is merely a way to help our human minds comprehend the enormity of divine duration. Our minds struggle to grasp the concept of duration without succession. Furthermore, the days and years linked to God are not the same as ours, as stated in Job chapter 10, verse 5. God is often referred to as the Ancient of Days in Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. But it doesn't mean God is ancient through the passage of days or years, like aged individuals. Instead, it suggests that he is more ancient than days. He existed before all days, and his existence can't be measured by them. Notice that the distinctions of time, yesterday, today, and forever, are simultaneously ascribed to God, not as successive stages. These all converge in his name, Jehovah, and in his nature. God coexists with all points of time, but remains unmoved and unaffected by any. He's like a rock in the rolling waves of the sea, or a tower in a torrent of gliding water. Consider him as the gnomon or style of a sundial, surrounded by all the hours of the day. The sun casts a shadow upon them, points at them, distinguishes them, but the style stands firm, unmoved, unaffected. As a result, one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day, as stated in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. But if God's existence was successive, measured by ticking moments, passing days, and changing years, then one day would be just one day with him, not 1,000. And 1,000 days would amount to 1,000 days, not just one. So when we talk about God's eternity, we're talking about an existence that transcends time, that is not dictated by the ticking clock or the turning calendar. It's an existence that was, that is, and will always be timeless and unchanging. If his duration were to be measured by a succession of moments, then he wouldn't be as immense, immutable, and perfect as we understand him to be. He can't be measured by minutes, hours, days, months, or years. As he isn't measurable by space, so he isn't by time. If he were, he would be one moment older than the previous, which is an impossibility for God. In the same vein, the unchanging nature of God reinforces his eternal essence. A Jewish writer once observed, "It cannot be said of him that he is older now than he was in the days of David, or when the world was created." God simply is, both before the world was made and after it will cease to be. Time makes no difference to him. If God's duration was successive, there would be moments past and gone, lost and irrecoverable, and moments yet to come, not yet arrived. But God is perfect, and in his perfection there is no loss, no waiting. His knowledge of all things, past, present, and future, is not sequential. He knows all things at once, not one after another. His knowledge is not successive, so neither is his duration. In successive duration, there's an order of former and latter. There is a beginning from whence every moment, every distinction proceeds. But God, essentially considered, has neither beginning of days nor end of life. In short, God is eternity itself and inhabits eternity. He did so before time without succession. He does so throughout time, and he will do so to all eternity. To summarize, the concept of God's eternity challenges our human understanding of time. It presents a God who is not bound by the succession of moments, but is instead immeasurable, immutable, and perfect. His existence is not one moment older than the previous. His knowledge is not sequential, and he has neither beginning of days nor end of life. Truly, he is eternity itself. Understanding this can inspire a sense of awe and reverence as we grapple with the idea of an eternal God in a temporal world. This exploration of eternity, of course, merely scratches the surface, but perhaps it's enough to spark a sense of curiosity, a desire to delve deeper into the mysteries of the divine and the eternal. For now, remember, while we may be bound by time, the God we contemplate is not. He is, was, and always will be.